Hello, everyone. My name is Baylan Megino, the founder of Global Dream Makers, and I welcome you back to the Leader's Edge. The Leader's Edge, and our guest today, I'm so pleased to bring to you Howard Brown. Howard Brown, welcome, Howard.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here, Byron. It's amazing. It's great to see you. And thanks for having me on today.
Oh, I'm just so honored to have met you. Let me tell everyone a little bit about you, okay?
Oh, sure.
Okay, so Howard is an author, a speaker, a podcaster, and a Silicon Valley entrepreneur. He's an interfaith peacemaker, a two-time stage 4 cancer survivor, and a healthcare advocate. He's got so much behind him. Can you imagine? So for 3 decades, Howard's business innovations, his leadership principles, mentoring, and his resilience in beating cancer against long odds have made him a sought-after speaker and consultant for businesses, nonprofits, congregations, and community groups, and podcasts like this. In his business career, Howard was a pioneer in helping to launch a series of technology startups before he co-founded 2 social networks that were the first to connect religious communities around the world. He served his alma mater, Babson College, ranked by U.S. News as the nation's top college for entrepreneurship. He served as a trustee and president of Babson's served as trustee and president of Babson's Worldwide Alumni Network. His hard-earned wisdom about resilience after beating cancer twice has led him to become a nationally known patient advocate and cancer whisperer to many families. You can see Howard over at shiningbrightly.com to learn more about his ongoing work and to contact him. You can do that after you listen to this because he'll be telling a lot of information. And at that website, you will find all kinds of resources to help you shine to brightly in your own corner of the world. So Howard and his wife, Lisa, and daughter, Emily, currently reside in Michigan. So again, welcome, Howard. I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm just Howard. That's nice. It's beautiful. Thank you for reading the bio. I'm just Howard. I'm here to, motivate, educate, and inspire.
Well, okay, so where should we start, Howard? Because you have such a wow kind of story. So where should we begin? I mean, really, you're an author, but you're also an entrepreneur. You were also way back in Silicon. Okay, so let's start there. Talk to us a bit about, no, even further back. We'll talk about let's talk about the cancer thing first. Okay, let's get that one out because I think that is part of what helped you be able to go through all the rest of what you've built. Yeah. So tell us about that journey.
Okay, so this is the highlight reel. Obviously, there's chapters in the book about it. And again, I could talk for hours about it because it's not a short topic, but I'm going to do that. We'll give you the highlights here. So I went to Babson College for entrepreneurship and marketing, and it changed the trajectory of my life. Originally, I went to Connecticut College and liberal arts, and it just wasn't my path. Entrepreneurship is sort of in my DNA and became, part of my DNA. And so I started working at NCR Corporation to build my foundation, and then I went to just startups, and that's what I love. I love starting something from ideation all the way to customers and revenue and all the pain and happiness in between. So I ended up graduating and working part of NCR, and I was moving up the ranks, and I was living in Dayton, Ohio, and I noticed a slight bump on my cheek. And that bump turned into stage 4 T-cell non-Hodgkin's lymphoma at age 23 and a half. It was very aggressive, and it took them a long time. Remember, 1989, no real cell phones, no real computer use. I mean, it's starting, Apple 1984, but and definitely no internet. So this is the analog times. So I think I was a deer in the headlights because I had this hit me like a shock. I was in denial, and I moved back home with mom and dad. That was what I did, and I did my treatment at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, one of the world's renowned institutions for cancer research, because it's not that they hadn't seen lymphoma before, but it was very aggressive. It's called young onset when I was so young. And I went through chemotherapy. I kept failing chemotherapy treatments and regimens, but I have a twin sister. And my twin sister, okay, was an exact match. So that's like hitting the lottery, right? 1 in 24,000. And she was an exact match. And I had a bone marrow transplant May 24th, 1990. And that her bone marrow grew in me, and I went on a clinical trial that helped strengthen my natural killer cells. That saved my life. So that's one miracle. The second miracle was before I ever did a treatment of chemotherapy, which would render me kind of sterile and not be able to make my own babies, I went to the cryogenic center. Thank God for Dr. Eric Rubin, who mentioned that. And I have a 20-year-old beautiful bouncing girl named Emily, who is going to graduate University of Michigan in December. And that's miracle number 2. We'll get to miracle number 3 after. And so it was hard. Let me just tell you, there's nothing good about cancer, whether it's stage 1, 2, 3, or 4. It sucks. It was hard, and it was hard on my mom and dad, and hard on everybody. It affects you emotionally, physically, financially, in relationships, and more. And not just you, but your care partners, your family, and friends. And so I was one of the lucky ones. I am blessed, grateful, and lucky. I moved on to what's called a 5-year remission. And after I finished treatment, I moved and hot-tailed out to California. I needed warm weather. I didn't want to stay in Boston. I went back to NCR, and I was rebuilding myself. I call this Humpty Dumpty version 1.0. And I rebuilt myself back, my career. It was thriving. I went to my first startup, Avid Technology, in the audio video editing. We changed the landscape of film, television, and television news and commercials. And then I met the love of my life, Lisa, and we got married in Santa Monica at Shutters at the Beach. And things were great. My health was great. Moved up to Silicon Valley. And then we had a baby, Emily, frozen sperm 11 years later, miracle. Then when the dot-com business kind of went south, really bad, called the dot-bomb, right? 2 + 2 didn't equal 17. We'll talk about that when we talk about Silicon Valley. I moved to Michigan. And to roll the story forward quickly, at age 50, I went and had a colonoscopy. If I would have had a colonoscopy at age 40 or 42, they would have snipped the polyps. I wouldn't be here on your podcast right now. We probably might not have met. Who knows? And I'd ended up getting diagnosed with stage 3, and then a year later, metastatic stage 4 colon cancer, and massive amounts of chemotherapy, 4 major surgeries, including a surgery that they cut out all the cancer they could see and poured hot chemo in me and rotated me like a rotisserie chicken called cytoreduction HIPEC. And I have still under cancer surveillance now. I'm in my 6th year. I did quarterly, but now I'm going to do biannually exams, blood tests, and CAT scans. But I am considered no evidence of disease at this time, getting to a 5-year remission. Miracle number 3.
Ah, and look at the man who is now with us today. It's who do you have to become to get through all of that? Yeah.
Hard stuff. I don't wish it on anybody. It's really hard stuff.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in the stage 4 cancer world, we live with a lot of death. Not everyone is as fortunate as me. Some people are still on chemo for life. Some people are desperate for extending their life through clinical trials. And I actually, as I said, I'll repeat it again. I am blessed. I am grateful, and I am lucky. Absolutely. But I am here. I am here, and I still have work to do.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You're not gone yet. Not your time. What got you through? How were you able to get through? Because I have known people going through cancer treatment. And my mother, thank God, she caught it really early. So we didn't have to go through the chemo, but she had to do radiation for quite some time. And my best friend passed away from breast cancer. And, just so many people that I know have had their brush with it or were taken by it. How do you mentally and emotionally get through that?
So there's not a simple answer for that, by the way. Everyone had the blueprint for a cure and to get to a no evidence of disease state and to get back your life. So Humpty Dumpty version 2 now there's really not a blueprint. You have to create your blueprint. So cancer number 1, and I have a big article out there on my LinkedIn page that basically says, this is how I survived cancer twice, and this is how I did it. Cancer number 1, I was a deer in the headlights. I had to learn a lot. And again, analog times. Cancer number 2, I was married. I had a daughter. I had always have motivation to live, but now I had a daughter that I wanted to see graduate high school. She was a freshman at the time. So I understood being sort of a veteran of cancer, that I ended up being a Marine on a mission. My mental toughness, my emotional readiness, my physical readiness. I had to, I kind of knew what to do. I also, in this digital world, knew that I needed to be collaborative. I needed to be go out there and research, be on the front lines of advocacy and understanding the disease and what possible, standards of care. And I did that. And very different where you're really sitting back analog-wise in 1989, 90.
Yes.
In 2016 to today, now there's a lot more resource out there. We've come a long way, but we're still practicing, and there's a long way to go. And so I did. One thing, the lesson, if the one takeaway of what I did is that I learned, okay, that this isn't, you don't make it through cancer for, you do it a little bit for selfish reasons, but it's not what we get in this world. It's what we give. Mm-hmm. That is the major lesson, is what we can give. And that's why I make my reputation all about shining brightly, is how we can give back, right? This is the way of the world, whether it's mentorship, whether it's kindness, whether it's giving money, whether it's giving time, this giving, okay, and the sharing of hope, my last chapter title, Sharing Hope, that's the purpose. That is my entire purpose now moving forward for the rest of the time that I will have here.
Well, even entrepreneurship, it's selling hope that you have a solution to their problem, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so you got to the point where you're giving back. Let's talk a little bit about your volunteerism. And hold on a second. I apologize. This phone decides to start all by itself. It's got a mind of its own.
You got it. This technology stuff happens, and listen, we're podcasting. We're real people here we're chopping it up. It's all good.
Yeah, we'll chop it up. Okay, so tell us a bit about how you chose your path to start giving back.
Sure. So I can't take all the credit. When I was a little kid, my mom did volunteer work. And for a Women's American Ort, it's an organization for rehabilitation and training. It gets people retrained in jobs. And so I watched her on the phone. I watched her raise money for it. She was the president of the chapter. And I was like, wow, she's really helping people. So that influence was there. Also, being Jewish, they teach you some very good tenets. One of them is a tikkun olam, repair and heal the world, because the world is broken and people are broken. Number two is chesed. Chesed is a life of living, of kindness, of loving kindness. And number three is tzedakah, which means justice, but is translated as giving or charity. And those tenets are part of my religion. And but I will have to give full credit to my wife, Lisa. So I was a workaholic. I wasn't doing as much as I could do. And my wife, Lisa, when I married her, that's her whole core. So we met through the Jewish community, and she said, Howard, you'd be a really good big brother, a Jewish big brother. And now 30 years later, I'm still a big brother to Ian, and Ian has a son, Noble, and a wife, Sarah. And I giving that mentorship was one of the best things I've ever done in my life. And it actually, everyone's like, oh, you did so much for Ian. I was like, no, he did so much for me and us. And my daughter, Emily, calls him Uncle Ian. And so that's the learning of that. So I happen to be a pretty good fundraiser, and every nonprofit needs a good fundraiser. And so I do fundraising in a lot of my roles for boards of directors and things like that. And I actually showed up. So I joined Babson's Alumni Association, and I worked my way up. And then all of a sudden, I got the opportunity to lead it and be the board president. And those be leadership skills, relationship skills, okay, listening skills. Yes. That volunteerism really rounds you out. It helps your business. It helps you in family. It helps you in life. And so I am grateful for all my commitments in the interfaith world, the Jewish community, the cancer world at Babson College, because that makes you a well-rounded leader. And that's what leadership is.
Absolutely. We are not just our business. And having a rounded life allows you to have thriving relationships, loving and nurturing relationships, and those help you get through the difficult times, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. So, okay, what is this about? What is an international peacemaker?
So that's a great question. Thank you for that. So I moved to Michigan 17 years ago. And I got here, and there's this place called Dearborn, Michigan. It's home of, and the surrounding areas, of the largest Arab Muslim population outside of the Middle East. We also have some people called Chaldean. These are Iraqi Christians. Outside of San Diego, I think, or here is the largest population of Chaldean Iraqi Christians outside of Iraq. We also have Algerians, and we have Albanians, and we have Yemenis, and it's a big melting pot here. And the car business probably is a catalyst for that here, the automobile business. So I didn't know that when I moved here, but I'm on the board of something called Jewish Community Relations Council, AJC, American Jewish Committee. And part of the portfolio that I wanted was African-American Jewish relations, Muslim Jewish relations, Christian Jewish relations. I wanted to go meet the other because it was an opportunity, by knowing the other, to be able to understand them, know how much we're alike, appreciate really good cuisine, really good culture. And so I've been doing that work. And I have to tell you again, when you put in it, you get back immensely. And it's really amazing. So we, listen, we're not going to solve world peace in the Middle East, but right here, some of my very good friends are not Jewish, okay? They're of different color, persuasion, nationality, right? And that makes you a better leader and a better person. It just does. It gets you well-rounded. So you put yourself out of your comfort zone, and I became a student, and I'm learning and meeting, and I'm now invited to, Arab Muslim home for an iftar dinner. If you don't know, celebrating their holidays of Ramadan, where they're fasting all day, learning about the Jewish community. And again, we do talk about very serious topics, right? And again, that's the art of diplomacy. But when one minority is threatened, all are threatened. And the Muslims are a minority in this country. They're China, Japanese, Indian. We're all minorities in this country, but we're all immigrants. We're all from somewhere else. That's how this country got great. Okay. Now, recently, it's been kind of tough on ethnics and shootings in schools, and a lot of the stuff that let me just call it the former president, kind of allowed. But this kindness and understanding the other is what made this country great, and we need to get back there. So I'm part of that solution. I don't want to get into politics, but I'm part of the solution of being understanding and welcoming the stranger into your tent, as Abraham did. So I execute on that. I don't just walk the walk. I talk the talk, or I don't talk the talk. I walk the walk, and I'm a believer in it. So actions. So my daughter always says, "Dad, positivity without action is just hot air." And positivity with action produces results. And so very wise from my daughter, Emily, to tell me what to do. But, I love it. It's great work. It's valuable time, and it actually contributes to the work-life balance, because you're not work. You're not family. You're mixing in other things into that. And that makes you a very interesting conversational person.
Yes. And as you are building those relationships, you're able to bring different perspectives into your perspective, and different ways of looking and speaking, that is aware that we honor those differences. Yeah. We honor and celebrate the differences that each culture has, each ethnic group has. It's, how could we not? How could we deny their existence? Right? It just doesn't make any sense to me. But okay, we're not going to get into any of that deep stuff. What I'd really like to do is look at how, because that does relate back to the workplace. That does relate back to diversity and inclusion and Absolutely. Equality, right? And equality, and then not just talking about it, but actually being able to put the resources behind it so it actually can take a foothold.
Here's my take on that. And we can move to Silicon Valley or anything else you want. But Here's the deal. When we are born, we are not born with hate coming out of our actions or our mouths. We are not born. We are born and we're crying for mom and dad. We have to learn that. That's a learned skill. You can choose to hate or not. You can choose kindness. And I will tell you that almost all the religions in the world teach harmony and love and compassion, okay, and understanding. So that's the majority of what we're supposed to be taught. Okay, we can, there's a lot of negativity in the world, and you can turn the other way, but we all have to kind of come together now, because we're in a time where everyone is very fragile after COVID. The world is in a fragile place, and we've got to rebuild the foundation.
I agree with you 100%. Absolutely.
I knew you would.
Okay, so talk to us a bit about your book that's coming out.
Okay, so the book is my memoir. So I'm really going to put myself out there. We talk about my great-grandmother, Bubby Bertha Budish from Lithuania, coming to this country because I had to get a family start. She's the immigrant. And the chapters are very interesting because I dictated my book over 217 and counting Zoom sessions, and I invited really important people that were part of my life to have conversations. So I am actually the MC of the conversations. So it's not just my voice, it's a multitude of voices. I thank a ton of people in there, and they're telling stories that'll make you laugh, cry. You don't have to read the book sequentially. There is a book on entrepreneurship in Babson. There is a chapter on interfaith. There is chapters on cancer. There are chapters on mentorship and my big brother experience. And I give homework at the end of every chapter. I tell people what they should be thinking of and to take next action steps, to get conversational, to get interactive. It's my book. And I have 62 pictures because it's my book.
I love the way that you did that. It's kind of like StoryCorps on steroids. I love that.
Yeah. So far, listen, I did not expect to be a published author because I'm not a great writer. But I tell you, I have good ideas. And like an entrepreneur, you need other people to lift you up and to polish. Well, you know what? My editor and friend David Crum from Front Edge Publishing and my wife, Lisa, oh my God, they can polish. And you need those people around you. And so my stuff's a little raw, but the ideation of it is brilliant, and it just needs to be, packaged. So that's how I roll, and it's great, and I'm very excited about it. The world, will receive it right out there, and hopefully people will tell a friend, and people will be inspired by it. And that's the goal is to, as I said, motivate, educate, and inspire. And then the low-hanging fruit happens to be the cancer story, right? When you have cancer, 26 or 30 years apart, 2 different stage 4 diagnoses, and you're still breathing, it's an interesting. So that's where I'll be talking, at hospitals and med schools and universities and pharma and things like that. But also, corporations like inspirational talks as well. And I certainly on the business side of things have, earned my chops, taking companies public, growing startups, starting my own. I've got some wisdom there coming from Babson College. I've got some wisdom to share in those lights as well. So it's an exciting time.
Yes, it is. Well, okay, let's jump back to the entrepreneurship just for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a pivotal time. Everything's changing, and leaping forward exponentially, right? I mean, it's just amazing what's happened just in the last 2 years and how the whole world has pivoted. And all the systems, all the businesses, everything has to catch up or to fill new gaps, right?
Well, look at Zoom, right? We're here
Yeah.
talking on Zoom, and everyone's an entrepreneur from their home office in their shorts and a t-shirt.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So what do you see in the future? Let's just say for the next 2 or 3 years, what do you think that entrepreneurs need to be aware of?
So first of all, the one issue of not going to the office is you actually don't get to rub shoulders together. Looking at someone on a screen is tiresome. It's different mindset. Instead of being around a water cooler or being in a conference room, I absolutely agree with that. So I think that human touch is missing, and will continue to be missing as people don't go back to actually the office. They're craving that. People are craving that because that's what we had, and we got put into this world of looking at the screen. Also, the screen creates that you don't shut down. You need that discipline to be able to shut it down, not turn it on. You have your cell phone with you. There's business, there's mix of pleasure, family. You can do the next text or the next email or the next phone call, or play on your phone and go look at sports scores or research, or you can not put it down. So all of that is affected our digital generation of the younger kids that are being educated today. They live in this digital world. I am not as optimistic about that, but they are resilient. But as Babson, we coined a trademark term called ETA, entrepreneurship of all kinds. I'm sorry, EAK, entrepreneurship of all kinds. And you can be an entrepreneur from your desk, at a laundromat, at a gas station, at a donut shop, or a technology entrepreneur, or a biomedical person, or a nonprofit. So there's so many ways to define entrepreneurship. But in entrepreneurship, you need some basic skills. You need some finance education, right? You may need some. You may need some speaking skills, communication and marketing skills. I think those are pretty important. Now you can bring on other partners with you for engineering skills, a finance person or something like that. But you need some well-rounded skills in order to move forward. And there's help out there for that. And the ideas that are going to come out are going to change the world. I think that the meta world of wearing goggles is, I mean, I'm glad Facebook's trying it. They're going to lose a lot of money at first, because while you have those goggles on, you can't drive a car. You can't, you can play some games, I guess, and things like that. But, and some people get headaches from it. But I think that there's, it's coming, the whole metaverse. But I still think that things come so fast. Everything's in a digital second, and a soundbite of 144 characters. So maybe I'm a little old school, but I want people to pace themselves. Slow your cadence. Okay. This is absolutely a marathon, not a sprint. Okay. You don't have to have everything done in 24 hours. And if you will, and you do, you'll burn out. And burnout can lead to depression. It can lead to health and anxieties and malaise. And usually bad things come of it. So that's my experience with this. But entrepreneurship is always exciting, because you're taking a risk. You're trying to take a vision, an idea, and make it real. Make it real in a couple of ways. One, does it help solve a problem by helping people? Does it actually make money, right? Will people purchase it? All these things are very good things, and it comes in so many flavors, which is exciting.
Yes. You're so fun to have on, Howard.
I know. I'm big energizer bunny of energy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I was like, and I'm like the calm one.
You are the calm one. That's good. We have the yin and the yang going. It's a good vibration.
You're being an author. What have we not covered?
Well, the biggest thing that I want my reputation. I want to be known as a great son, brother, friend, dad. That's that. At the end of the day, when they're reading your epitaph, or someone's actually saying, who is Howard Brown, when I actually do end up, going 6 feet underground, you only have your memory. So we say that, we want to bless someone with a loving memory, because that, at the end of the day, all that stuff, even accumulated wealth, and all that stuff, objects, we all return to dust. So it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. So it's during the very short time you have here. Okay. What are you going to do with it? We have all this great opportunity every time we wake up every day. Okay. What are you going to do with it? Every day we reset and we wake up, and what are you going to do with that day to improve the world, improve yourself? And so I usually say that you always have to look inward, lift yourself up, self-care, self-love, balance, work-life balance. 2, go lift up others. Go lift up others, because that's really what we're taught. And if you lift up others, you're actually strengthening and lifting yourself up. And together, once we're all lifted up, we're unstoppable. We can actually have positive change, and for this short time that we're here. And that's the lesson that I think that the takeaway.
All right. Okay, so I have 2 more questions.
Okay.
So are there any other thoughts that you'd like to add in before I ask my final 2 questions?
Okay. No, I'm good. We've covered so much ground in a short period of time.
Yes, we have. Okay, so the first question is, let's say you're at the top of a mountain, and there are thousands, if not millions, of people standing at the bottom of the mountain. And from the top of the mountain, everyone can see you and they can hear you. But you have only one message to give. What is that message?
Wow. What a great question. Okay, so I'm at the top of the mountain. This is a good delay tactic. I'm at the top. Repeat your question.
That's
I'm at
fine.
the top of the mountain.
At the
There's
top of
people
the
below
mountain.
me.
They're waiting
They-
for your message.
They're waiting for my message.
Yes, they're waiting for your message. And you can only give one message.
Okay.
It's the one
So-
message you're here to give.
Yes. My message is to love your brother and sister. That's it. That's the message. And I hope it echoes and echoes and echoes and echoes. Love thy brother and sister. That's it. Very simple.
Beautiful.
And then, basically they have to define what that means to them.
Exactly.
Yeah, that would be my message from the top of the mountain.
Good reminder. Good reminder. Okay, and so the final question that I have for you is, if you could speak to all the leaders in the world, all of them, not just the ones who head up countries, but all people who identify themselves in some way as a leader, and you knew that they would listen to you and that they would take whatever it is you have to share, they would take it in and possibly even act on it, what would you tell them?
Wow. If the leaders would listen to me and take an action step. I would say, I want them to teach others to fish so they can fish for themselves. So it's an old ancient, kind of a quote from someone's Bible or someone's scripture. And the reason is that by teaching someone to, whether it's a trade or to be sufficient, they can then lift themselves up and then lift up others, and they keep going on, right? It keeps going on. The dominoes will keep going. And so that would be a great message if they would then, and it's a form of mentorship, right?
Yes.
Go teach people how to fish so they can fish for themselves, and then they'll teach others to fish.
And you can
Very
determine
philosophical. This is like, where is this coming from? Put me on the spot.
You're doing great. You're doing great. It just comes out because that is who you are. It's at the core of who you are, right?
Yeah.
And you have done enough of life that you have an understanding of, well, especially you, if tomorrow is my last day, what do I want the world to know? I'm sure you thought of that.
Yeah, I will say one other thing is that I had to, in this development, I had to find a place that there's and limit negativity and find it. And I call it my happy place. So people know about this. So it can be yoga, it can be walking in the woods, it can be music, it can be art, it can be cooking. It's whatever you define it to be.
Yes.
Well, I have a full chapter in my book on basketball, because on the basketball court, I don't feel like a cancer patient. I didn't feel like I have no worries in the world. I'm in this zone. There's a little trash talking. I'm playing with this interfaith group. And you know what? We shoot baskets. We don't shoot each other. We've been doing this for 17 years. I just love it because that's where I get my exercise, my endorphins, and I just that's my happy spot in the world. So everyone should go find a happy spot, a happy place. And it's sometimes hard to do. But you can do it. Everyone can do it. It's possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my favorite quote is by Howard Thurman. It says, "Don't ask don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive, and then go do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive."
Yes. Oh, strong. That's great.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's great. And again, I am just hitting a period where things are just great. The book is coming out. I'm doing paid speaking. I got my own podcast that I'll invite you back on. And I always have really interesting people like you do. So with different audiences. And as I say, we're shining so brightly, we got to put on our shades, right? So that's where we're at right now. And it's thrilling. It's great. I am so much appreciating where everything is going. And it's taken a lot of hard work, and there were no guarantees. There's no guarantees, but it's all coming together slowly but surely.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful what you have created and built in the world. Really, really beautiful. And you've got your daughter who will carry on.
Well, right, you try to teach them values, and then you got to let them fly from the nest. So she was out in Missoula, Montana, at a TV station for her summer internship. She's on her way back home, and great experience. And she's a lover of nature and all that. But you teach them values, and then you got to let the birdies fly from the nest and create their own path. Not easy to do with, but that's what we're doing right now. So it's terrific, really great.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much, Howard. This has been such a pleasure. And there's a lot to think about. I'm going to have to listen to this a couple times because you really touched on a lot of things that we as leaders in our lives we really should think about. I'm really here to help people just start to think about who are they and what kind of leader are they wanting to be. And
Very important.
It's defined in every thought, in every decision, right? So every moment you're shaping, you're carving what kind of leader am I?
Yeah.
So thank you. You have given us very much to think about, and looking forward to your book. Where can they find out about your book?
So at first, you can come to shiningbrightly.com. Very easy.
All right. All right. I'll go get mine. Thank you so much, Howard. And we'll have you back if we can get on your calendar. We'll have you back.
Well, absolutely. We'll come back. And you know what? We surfed along with some very deep stuff. Let's go deeper. We'll go deeper and pick one or two things and not spread it around a little bit. And we can go deeper. I've got some great, this is a tease, old school stories from Silicon Valley that I'm sure your listeners and people in the audience would love to hear. Great stuff.
I love those. I love those. Okay, we'll do that. We will definitely do that.
My promise. I do it. Thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you.
Pleasure all mine. It's been all mine. Thank you so much. This has been Baylan Megino, founder of Global Dreammakers, and Howard Brown, the author and the man shining brightly at shiningbrightly.com. Okay, thank you. We will see you again next week.
Excellent.
Bye.
Bye.